Reg, so ek het besluit dat ons van eerder gedig in twee deel, anders gaan dit nou bietjie lank vat. So ons begin by strofe 1, stanza 1. Het begin met in die sandklip hart. So if we look at the description, sandklip hart kan letterlik of figuurlik wees. It can be literal or figurative. Letterlik verwys dit na die Uniegeboue van Pretoria wat met sandsteen gemaak is, word na verwys as die hart van Pretoria, omdat dit so te sê in die middel van die stad is. Die ligte kleur van die sandsteen pas dan ook baie goed in by die ligte velkleur van Nelson Mandela. Figuurlik, Nelson Mandela was ook die hart of die hoop van die mense. So literally, it refers to the Union buildings, which is made of sandstone, and is usually referred to as the heart of Pretoria because it's basically in the middle of the city, and the color of the sandstone obviously then also fits in very nicely with Nelson Mandela's skin tone. Then figuratively, Nelson Mandela was also seen as the heart or the hope of the nation. The word vandag refers to 10 May 1994, the 10th of May 1994. Dit was die inhuldiging van die oud president, so it was the inauguration date of the president, en hy was toe ook by die Uniegebou, so he was then at the Union buildings. Hy verwys na Nelson Mandela. If you don't know that yet, we have an issue. Kop en skraal skouers staan hy bo almal uit. So hy word beskryf as iemand wat maar is, wat baie lank is. So he is described as someone who is thin, skraal skouers, thin shoulders, and he is very tall. Hy staan bo almal uit, stands above everybody else. This can also be seen in a figurative sense, especially the tallness. Hy staan ook hoog bo almal uit as daar na morele standaarde gekyk word. So he stands out above everybody else based on his morals and his standards, by what he decided to do instead of what everybody thought he would have done. Houtskool en as is sy hare. Die woorde vertel vir ons dat die man begin oud word het. Houtskool verwys na sy swart hare en as verwys na die grys vlekke. Die is 'n metafoor omdat dit sy hare direk met houtskool en as vergelyk. So the words explain to us that the man is becoming old. Houtskool refers to his black hair, and as refers to the grey flecks in his hair. It is also then a metaphor because it does not say his hair is like houtskool en as of soos houtskool en as. It says sy hare is houtskool en as. Therefore, it is directly compared to those two things. You'll see throughout the poem that the repetition and all of those things is either in a color, like here, sand en staan hy, vandag underlined, indicating the alleenplasing, SK, skraal skouers is the alliteration, and then I'm not sure if you guys can see clearly, but here by skraal skouers, bo almal uit, houtskool en as sy hare, it has a little bit of a yellowish shadow. That is all the aspects that I've highlighted for you. Goed. Hy, die sandkleurige seun van Unosekeni, en ons sandkleurige fits in with line 1. It refers to Nelson Mandela's lighter skin tone. Unosekeni is Nelson Mandela's mother. Then we have die inkeping, the open space there, dui op die belangrikheid van 'n moeder in die vorming van 'n kind, volgens die spreker, so according to the speaker, mothers are super important in the development of children. Vleesige palmkussings, hy het groot, sagte hande gehad, waarmee hy baie goed gedoen het. Sy benadering tot verandering was sagkend. So he had big soft hands with which he did a lot of things. Obviously, we're not referring to the physical touch of his hands being soft. The soft that we are talking about here is his approach to change, his approach to working with people was that of kindness, was that of helping rather, or building up rather than breaking down. So it's not physical, it's more figurative in that case. Then that long name there that I messed up earlier, it is Nelson Mandela's Oupa Grootjie, say his great-grandfather. Dalindyebo is Nelson Mandela's voog, it is his guardian. After his father passed away, Dalindyebo, who was the chief of the Tembu tribe, decided to take in Nelson Mandela as his ward. So Nelson Mandela se voog, sy oorlede, of toe sy pa oorlede is, hy was nog baie jong. Dalindyebo was die heerser van die Tembu stam. Mandela, obviously not referring to the person we're talking about, but this is referring to Nelson Mandela's father. His name was Mgadla. Goed. Then in Kunu, I can't do the clicking sound. It's the place where he comes from, die plek waar hy vandaan kom. Tembu stam is die stam waarvan Nelson Mandela afstammeling is. So it's the tribe from which Nelson Mandela came. Then it says klein swart ster. That swart ster refers to a very, very, very tiny freckle on his top lip. It's very difficult to see in pictures. I think in the additional notes I did put in a picture for you there of that, so you can just have a look there. Then the word ster is meant figuratively as well, want hy was die ster of die held van Suid-Afrikaanse geskiedenis. He is seen as the star or the hero of South African history. The word prim means to pierce, like an earring, for example. In this case, it specifically means that this little black star is versier, hy versier sy bolip, it is decorating his top lip. Goed. Hy wat nie lag nie en nie huil nie means Mandela was iemand wat ernstig was oor belangrike sake. Hy het nie sy emosies daarin gesit nie. So Mandela was someone who took matters of great importance very seriously. He very seldomly allowed his emotions to take over logical thinking when making decisions. In this case, the same at the bottom. It's basically the same notes. It just adds there besadig, gematig en waardig. He was a very, how shall I put this? The words escape me. He was a very on his place person. He didn't make decisions rashly. He thought about things well. He did not allow emotions or personal gains or personal interests to crowd his decision making, basically. Eerste ratelaar van Umkhonto we Sizwe. Eerste, hy was een van die stigters. He was one of the first people to join this Umkhonto we Sizwe. Een van die eerstes wat opgetree het. He was also one of the first, not the first, but one of the firsts to start acting out against this government. So hy was die aanvoerder, hy het eerste geraas gemaak oor die apartheid regering. So he was one of the forerunners. He was one of those who made the biggest noise internationally, shall we say, about the apartheid government and what it was doing. Umkhonto we Sizwe means spies van die nasie, spear of the nation, and as you all know, it is the military wing of the ANC. Then we get to the Swart Pimpernel. Now, the Swart Pimpernel is a play on the title of a story, The Scarlet Pimpernel, which was a character in a story, like a crime novel, and the character would generally disappear and then be seen somewhere else again. And this is exactly the same thing that happened when Mandela was exiled. People would hear he was somewhere, and then when they would go there to try and find him, he would be gone. I read somewhere as well, can't remember where I read this, that the name actually comes from the police force. The police force actually gave him this name. Goed, hier staan hy dan nou voor ons, Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela. So, if we look at his second name, or his birth name, die woordspeling Rolihlahla means in direct translation. I know if I went to a Xhosa speaking person now and said, what does this word mean or this name mean, they would tell me something completely different. But in translation and in the dissection, if you will, of the poem, this is what they came up with. And unfortunately, because this is what is in the textbooks, this is what they can ask you. So whether it means that or not doesn't matter at this point. We need to just study it as is. So die woordspeling, Roli, means to trek uit, to pull out, and Ihlahla means branch, tak. So if we then put it together, they say it means a branch that is being pulled. Okay, wat uitgetrek word, that is being pulled from one end to the other. So if we now look at this whole aspect, those three lines, based on what the people who worked on this poem say his name means, verwys dit dan na die merke wat Nelson Mandela, of die tak wat getrek word, op die mense van Suid-Afrika gelos het. Hy het dus 'n baie sterk of positiewe impak. So this thing now refers to the marks, the sweep of the branch, basically. The marks that he left, Nelson Mandela left, him being the branch that is pulled over the soil of South Africa. So he left a very big positive mark on the people of South Africa. That's basically what they're trying to say here. Then, legendaris is hy, just ignore that typing error there, means he is a legend. I think that's quite self-explanatory. Opspoorder van harte. Opspoorder means finder. So hy het mense geleer om vir mekaar om te gee. He taught people to care for one another because he cared for others, so he taught to care for others as well. Dan die aandagstreep daarso beklemtoon die rede waarom hy so belangrik of legendaries is. Hy het vrede bewerkstellig. So the hyphen there emphasizes the reason why he is so important or legendary. It is because of the peace that he brought. Hy maak die pante by mekaar. Pante are panels. Think about if you are making clothes, for example, then you have the one side that needs to be sewed onto the other side. So pante is dele van 'n geheel. It's part of a whole. Nou, this is 'n metafoor, want mense van verskillende rasse en kulture word met pante vergelyk wat deur Nelson Mandela saamgebring word. So people of different races, different cultures are being compared to here as different parts of something that needs to be made whole, and Nelson Mandela is the man then who brought all of that together. Hy draai ons na mekaar toe vir mekaar. He turns us towards each other, for each other. So hy help ons om vir mekaar om te gee. He teaches us, or he helps us, how we can look after one another, which is of course the idea of Ubuntu. The open space there, van 'n verskeurde land, again inkeping, beklemtoon wat hier gebeur, so it emphasizes what happens here, die bymekaar bring van die land wat verskeur is, the bringing together of a country that was torn apart. Then it says, vrede, die ma van groot nasies. So hier lewer die spreker kommentaar oor wat in die toekoms kan gebeur. So she, or the speaker, is commenting on what can happen in the future. Sy sê dat as gevolg van die vrede wat Nelson Mandela gebring het, gaan Suid-Afrika 'n groot nasie word, omdat vrede die ma is van vooruitgang of verbetering. So, she says that because of the peace that Nelson Mandela has brought to this country, South Africa will one day become a very great country because freedom, because freedom is the mother of prosperity or positive change. Nou, in hierdie gedeelte lewer kommentaar oor die persoonlikheidseienskappe, spesifiek die heelmaker aspek. So in this poem, this part of the poem, comment is given on the personality aspects, specifically the healing aspect of Nelson Mandela. So hy bring 'n mate van herstel na die apartheidsera. So after the apartheidsera, he brings a certain level of repair in the country. Hy maak die pante bymekaar, he brings things together, en hy herstel die verskeurde land. So he repairs this broken country that we have. So this is really not a very difficult poem. It is actually a very simple poem. There's really not a lot of snags and catch places and things like with the previous ones. So just read it again, study it, and make sure you have all the notes. Alright, dankie oukies, soet wees.